Catholic priest in Nigeria was recently freed after being kidnapped for 3 days. It was the latest in a series of attacks in Nigeria against Christians, and many of those attacks are being brought on by a group called the Fulani Herdsmen. Recently, I sat down with a church leader from Nigeria to discuss the problem and what can be done to help. With us now is Bishop Wilfred Anagbe of the Makurdi Diocese and the Benue state of Nigeria. Your Excellency, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it. I understand the Benue state where you are from has experienced some of the worst attacks from these Fulani herdsmen. What more can you tell us about those attacks? And for those who aren't familiar, can you explain to us exactly who these people are?
Benue state has been under sustained attacks beginning from 2009. But as of 2014, it became full-blown and was difficult, and it's been sustained like that up to this moment, with a lot of killings, displacement of persons and all that. And these attacks are carried on by the Fulani terrorist herdsmen, who are actually of the Fulani ethnic group, who come into this country through the northern part of Nigeria, Niger, Chad border, and then coming down here, down to the middle belt and down to the southern part of Nigeria. And in it, they are the same group of people that you can call who are Boko Haram and others. So they are, Fulani people are not actually part of Benue, but they're also the major part in the northern part of Nigeria. You call them the Fulani, Hausa Fulani people or tribe. But then there are those who are perpetrating this cruelty and attacks on the innocent citizens and the traditional tribes or indigenous tribes of Nigeria, especially as you can see in the middle belt of Nigeria, Benue State particularly being under severe and heavy attack.
Your Excellency, some people have described what's happening over there as a form of ethnic cleansing. What would you say to that?
Yes, they are not. It's not too far from it, because it is a clear sign, which I may say genocide, though others may disagree, but it's a gradual and systematic elimination of the indigenous tribes.
And Your Excellency, what's driving all of this violence against Catholics and Christians? And what's the government of Nigeria doing anything about it? Are they doing anything to stop it?
What is driving this violence, I think, is purely an Islamic agenda. Remember, in 1989, the Abuja Declaration, which placed Nigeria was an Islamic state and should be established as such, started this gradual movement and order, which we have seen even in positions at government, whereby Fulanis and Muslims are put in government positions. And secondly, what is driving them is that the government is, I wouldn't say it's not capable. The government does not want to arrest and apprehend anybody. And so it gives these people the impunity to continue with these atrocities.
I'm curious, I'm going to ask you about this. What about the international community? I mean, do you feel as if the situation in Nigeria is being properly addressed, or do you feel as if these atrocities are just being neglected?
Well, the international community can only work where the government, refers them to work. First of all, the issue in Nigeria has been swept under the various the carpet. Some say it is farmers' herders clash. And I tell anybody, no, there's no question of farmers' herders clash, because Fulanis are not natives in Benue. And so they're not living side by side with the farmers. So it is an encroachment which they do. And then secondly, the government tells people is climate change. But I tell you, this is nothing to do with climate change. Climate change is not a Nigerian factor. And so it is purely a perpetrated attempt calculated at gradual and systematic elimination of the people.
Your Excellency, before I let you go, one thing I do want to talk about, as you know, the U.S. State Department recently took Nigeria off of its list of countries of particular concern. When you learned of that news, what went through your mind, and what would you like to see happen next?
Well, you know, first of all, I have to tell you this, because our leaders and governments always want to be politically correct. It's a matter of interest. But then I have to say, because the indices and the records show that Nigeria should be brought back as a country of particular concern, and that way it will put pressure from outside of the Nigerian government to look into the issues of atrocities and the humanitarian situation that is happening to the people in the country. Not just, children play. Because the government says Boko Haram is under control, but it's not true. These people have metamorphosed into different sects, and they are unleashing the same terror on the citizens. So we have made a request passionately in one of the meetings just held now with the group on religious freedom. Let Nigeria be reconsidered and be brought back as a country of particular concern.
Bishop Angabe, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. It's been a great pleasure, and we're praying for all of you in Nigeria. God bless you.